Hello, my name is Kurt Young, and for the last 3 decades, I've been an attorney who's fought for Ohio's working families. For me, a big part of my job is to explain the legal system to people like you, and that's why we're making these videos. This video is going to be a little bit different if you can't tell from the layout already. We're going to have a very special guest, and that's because she's an expert in this part of the system. So I'm going to introduce you to my friend and colleague, Laura Frailey of Core Vocational Services.
Hi, Kurt.
Hi.
Thank you for inviting me. So I want to tell you a little bit about myself. I've been a certified rehabilitation counselor for over 25 years, and I've worked as a vocational provider for that long with Ohio BWC. 5 years ago, I started my own practice. I provide vocational case management, job placement assistance, career counseling, and vocational testing. So we're going to do a little tag team here.
Laura's going to talk about what you get while you're in vocational rehabilitation, and I'm going to talk about getting you in and why we do it. So Laura, talk to us a little bit about what vocational rehabilitation is, first of all.
Well, it's a voluntary program that the Bureau offers to injured workers in assisting them in returning to work. The types of services that are provided are based upon your needs or the injured worker's needs, and they're done with the doctor's cooperation. Services vary upon the individual, so what one injured worker receives is going to be totally different from what another injured worker receives.
So this is not just one size fits all. It's based on what the worker needs and what you can offer them.
Right. We can offer active physical therapy, work conditioning, vocational testing, career counseling, job assistance, and in some cases, training.
So I know what physical therapy is. Most people do. I understand that career counseling and job assistance are helping you look for the jobs that you can handle. What's work conditioning?
Well, think of it as spring training for baseball players. The baseball players go through an intense physical therapy program to get them ready for the season. Their training focuses on sprinting, running, catching the ball, and hitting the ball. Work conditioning is kind of like spring training. It conditions the injured worker to return to work.
So I'm going to jump in here and talk about what do we need to do to get this all going. First of all, anyone can get you started. You, your doctor, your lawyer, your employer, something called the managed care organization. What we need to do to get you in, well, first step is I got some really good news for once. Number one, it's going to be all free to injured workers. With most employers, this is something they're going to support. It helps them and it can help you out as well. Why is it helpful to them? Well, because it comes from a special pot of money. It's not a direct hit on most employers' workers' comp premiums. In fact, it can result in a premium break for some of them. But we got to clear some hurdles first to get things going. First of all, we got to have you found eligible, then feasible, and then get with your providers and put the provider here and get a plan going. So I want to explain to you real briefly feasibility and eligibility in terms you might be able to understand. So basically, eligibility, not everybody who gets hurt on the job is eligible. You have to not be working at the time we're trying to do this. You have to have been paid temporary total, at least a day of it. And then at the time we're asking, you have to be on ongoing temporary total with restrictions from your doctor that keep you from doing your former job, be at maximum medical improvement. So that means the temporary total has been cut off, but have permanent restrictions that keep you from doing your former job from your doctor. Or you can have gotten a permanent partial award and have permanent restrictions. The simple way to get those restrictions done and shown is on a form called a Medco 14. Now let's talk about feasibility. What's that mean? Well, this is where Laura or someone like her comes in and looks at whether with help we can get you back to work. So Laura, when we get one of these people at that point, what do you do?
Well, I start by reviewing the file information, which includes medical and psychological treatment notes, the Medco 14. Sometimes I will get a job description from the employer. Then I will call the injured worker and schedule what's called an initial assessment interview. I will meet that injured worker either at their attorney's office or at a neutral location such as a library. I will have the injured worker sign some forms to allow me to talk to your attorney, the doctor, the employer, and anyone else involved in your claim.
So after that initial appointment, do you determine feasibility?
Not always. I might need some additional information from the doctor to make that decision. I will either call or send a letter to the doctor asking him or her if they think a person can return to their original job. I will also ask the doctor if they would benefit from active physical therapy and or work conditioning. Now, if a person can't return to work or to return to their original position, I will recommend vocational testing to the MCO and the BWC.
So once you receive all that information, what do you do?
Well, then I make my recommendations to the MCO and the Bureau and write a return to work plan.
So our final legal hurdle is making sure that the plan Laura or the provider comes up with gets approved.
And just remember, everyone is different, so every plan is different.
I can tell you that in 3 decades of fighting these, I have only had to fight a handful of times to get a plan approved. By the way, that's why we choose somebody like Laura. They're going to be really good, solid plans. And in state fund claims, we get to pick and we choose her for her skills and because she's independent. Now, why is it being important?
Some of the MCOs have sister vocational rehab providers, and there may be a perceived bias.
Well, and I will say that when it comes to these connected vocational rehabilitation providers, they're not as creative as the independent ones like Laura in solving problems. So why do we need all of this? Why do we do all this?
Well, first of all, it's a best chance to get you back to work and receiving a normal paycheck rather than a workers' compensation paycheck.
And what I will say is that then second, if the worker finds a job and it pays less than what they were making before they got hurt, you get a special benefit called living maintenance wage loss if you find the job through the plan. It's going to be more money in some instances. It's definitely going to be less of a fight from the Bureau or the employer. And yeah, that's less fees for me, but I'm happy to do it and happy to get you back to work. Now, also, in the unfortunate circumstance we don't get you back to work, in order to get you on a benefit called permanent total disability, we have to prove that we've done everything. We've tried vocational rehabilitation maybe multiple times and fought it out or proved something like you're in a coma and it would be futile. So again, no matter what happens here with Voc Rehab, if we do it right, it's going to be win-win-win. That's the basics of this. So I want to thank my friend and special guest, Laura. How does an injured worker get to you?
Well, first of all, thank you, Kurt, for inviting me. I really enjoyed this interview. So what you will need to do, what you could do, I work in Northwest Ohio and I cover the border Michigan counties. You can contact me at fraileycrc@gmail.com or contact your attorney and give them my information. My email phone number will be in the comments section of this video. For other areas of the state, contact your attorney. He or she will likely have a provider or providers in mind that are closer to where you live.
Well, we've come down to the end of this, but of course we've got to do the legal disclaimers, so.
Well, first of all, this is for educational purposes only, and my opinion and comments may change with the circumstances. And unless you have met with me and signed the necessary worker forms, I am not your vocational case manager.
And let's do the lawyer side. Just a reminder, I'm only licensed in the state of Ohio, and each state's laws are different. This system is highly technical, and this is not legal advice or even everything you need to know. Unless you've met with me, signed a fee agreement, and other necessary forms, I'm not your lawyer, and I can take no actions to protect your rights. Nor can I warn you about all of the deadlines and requirements to act that are out there. And not knowing about one and missing it can cost you all of your rights. The answer is yes, you do need a lawyer to give you and your doctors and your vocational counselor the advice they need and support they need to look out for you. If you're in Ohio and want our help, go to our website, www.kmilaw.com, and that and our phone number will be in the comments section when I post the video. Thanks for joining us.